Maya Williams hit the pavement before she understood why the officers had surrounded her. Her right shoulder struck first. One hand caught the ground. The other stayed over her stomach. "Stay down!" an officer shouted. "I'm pregnant." "Then stop resisting." "I'm not resisting." 3 police vehicles blocked the parking lot. 2 unmarked SUVs sealed the exits. Officers stood near the open doors while customers watched from the windows of Reed Medical Supply. Maya tried to push herself upright. A gloved hand forced her back down. "Don't move. My baby. Hands where I can see them." "My hand is on my stomach." Sergeant Calvin Mercer stepped closer. He was broad, calm, and older than the officers around him. He looked at Maya as though her fear confirmed something he had already decided. "People like you always have an explanation," he said. Maya stared at him. The words were quiet, but not quiet enough. Mercer turned toward Officer Brent Cole. "Cuff her." Cole hesitated. Maya was 28 and nearly 8 months pregnant. She wore a school identification badge around her neck and a plain blue maternity dress beneath a light jacket. Her purse lay open several feet away. The boxed blood pressure monitor she had come to collect sat near the store entrance. Nothing about her suggested danger. Cole looked down at her. "She hasn't been searched yet. That's why we're securing her." Maya's breathing became uneven. "I work at Broward Harbor High School. Call the school. Call my husband." Mercer glanced at the badge. "A counselor." "Yes. And that means you can't be involved in anything?" "I don't even know what you're accusing me of." Mercer bent slightly. "No one accused you of anything. You pushed me to the ground. You refused an order. You never told me why I was being stopped. You were told to kneel. I told you I couldn't." Mercer straightened. "You refused." Across the lot, a middle-aged delivery driver held up his phone. "She didn't do anything," he called. "I saw the whole thing." An officer moved toward him. "Back up. I'm on public property. Back up now." The man obeyed but kept recording. A white woman in office clothes stood beside him. "She told you she was pregnant before you touched her." Mercer did not argue. He stepped back, his voice cutting through the rain with chilling authority as he addressed the gathering witnesses. "This is a high-level federal transit investigation involving compromised state documents," Mercer announced, his hand resting flat on his tactical vest. "A military-grade jammer is active for secure containment. Anyone recording or interfering with this scene is committing a third-degree felony under emergency protocol. Officers, confiscate the devices for evidence clearance immediately." The middle-aged delivery driver froze, his hand trembling as an officer stepped forward and snatched his phone. The white woman in office clothes backed away, silenced by the mention of a federal offense. With a single calculated lie, Mercer had completely isolated the parking lot. Maya looked down at her phone. The screen remained frozen, completely locked out by the tactical jammer. The realization hit her like a physical blow. This wasn't an administrative error or a routine stop. They had tracked her here. "Sergeant," Officer Cole muttered, his hand still resting cautiously on Maya's arm. "The vehicle search is clean except for the back seat. Check deeper," Mercer ordered, his eyes never leaving Maya. "Check the floorboards." Another officer leaned deep into the rear passenger side of the Honda CR-V, pulling back the heavy rubber mats. When he straightened, he held a sealed gray envelope. Maya stared at it, her chest tightening. "I've never seen that in my life." "Save it for the magistrate, Mrs. Williams," Mercer said, taking the envelope. His voice dropped to a low whisper, meant only for her. "Your husband thought he was clever hiding the witness list in a school counselor's car. He should have known we own the grid in Fort Lauderdale." The mention of Daniel sent a wave of panic through Maya. What did her husband get involved in? Thomas Reed's final warning inside the store flashed through her mind, but she had no time to think. "Get on your knees," Mercer commanded, stepping into her personal space. "I cannot," Maya gasped, her hands locking over her stomach to protect her 8-month pregnancy. "The pressure will restrict the blood flow to my baby. I told you, I am experiencing severe stress. You are denying a lawful order under federal intercept," Mercer said coldly. He didn't lose his temper. He simply nodded to Cole. "Secure the suspect." Cole gripped her upper arm to pull her toward the vehicle. Terrified for her child, Maya instinctively pulled back to maintain her balance on the slick, wet pavement. That was when Mercer stepped in and shoved her. There was no crack of breaking bones, no scrape of tearing skin, but the sheer force of the sudden thrust sent her stumbling backward, her balance gone. She collapsed heavily onto her side against the asphalt, her arms locked in a desperate cage around her unborn daughter. The shock of the impact combined with the overwhelming terror triggered an immediate, violent reaction inside her body. A sharp, agonizing tightening, a massive, stress-induced uterine contraction seized her entire abdomen. "I can't breathe," Maya whispered, her vision rapidly narrowing into a dark tunnel. Her lungs refused to take in the damp air. Cole immediately dropped to his knees beside her, his face turning pale. "Sergeant, she's hyperventilating. We have an acute premature labor onset. Requesting immediate medical dispatch." "Stand down, officer," Mercer replied, his voice entirely detached as he stared at the gray envelope in his hand. "She's manipulating the scene. Give it a minute." But Maya didn't have a minute. The coldness of the pavement bled into her skin, and the shouting voices around her began to fade into a dull, distant hum. She looked up at the gray Florida sky, her fingers losing their grip on her dress as her body succumbed to severe psychological and physical shock. Then, the world went completely black. Her vision narrowed. Cole's face blurred above her. "Ma'am, stay with me." Maya tried to answer. No words came. The delivery driver shouted for someone to call 911. Mercer ordered the witnesses farther back. The woman in office clothes called out, "You wouldn't treat her this way if she were white." Mercer slapped his chest once more. "I told you who makes the decisions here." Two officers moved toward the woman. Maya reached for her stomach. A hard tightening passed through her body. Not pain from the fall. Something deeper. Something driven by panic. Her breathing stopped for one terrible second. Cole called for medical assistance. Mercer told him to wait. Maya looked up. Then, everything went dark. Her phone, still inside her purse, activated an emergency call. Across Fort Lauderdale, Amanda Nunes answered and heard a stranger say, "She's unconscious. The pregnant woman is unconscious." Amanda Nunes heard only fragments at first. A man ordering people to move back. A woman demanding an ambulance. A second voice saying Maya was not breathing right. Then the line filled with movement and distant shouting. "Amanda?" someone said. She stopped in the middle of the gym floor. The self-defense class fell silent as everyone saw Amanda's expression change. "Who is this?" Amanda asked. "I don't know you. Her phone called you. She's on the ground. Put the phone near her." "I can't. The police won't let me get closer." Amanda grabbed her keys from the bench. "What happened?" "They pushed her down. She's pregnant." She passed out. The line went dead. Amanda called back. No answer. She called Maya's number again, then Daniel's. Both calls went directly to voicemail. Rosa Delgado, the oldest coach at the gym, crossed the room without asking questions. She took Amanda's motorcycle key from her hand and replaced it with the key to her SUV. "The roads are wet," Rosa said. Amanda nodded once. Rosa picked up Amanda's phone, opened the recording app, and handed it back. "Keep this running." Amanda left without changing clothes. Traffic along Broward Boulevard was slow. She moved between lanes when there was space, then stopped herself from taking risks that might keep her from reaching Maya at all. She called emergency services. "I need to confirm an ambulance was sent to Reed Medical Supply." The dispatcher asked for the address. Amanda gave it. "There is police activity at that location," the dispatcher said. "There is also an unconscious pregnant woman. I'm showing a medical unit requested." "Who requested it?" "I don't have that information." Amanda looked at the clock on the dashboard. "How long ago?" The dispatcher paused. "The call was entered less than 2 minutes ago." Amanda ended the call. Maya had been on the ground longer than that. When she reached the shopping plaza, the exits were blocked. 2 unmarked SUVs sat across the main lane, and 3 police vehicles formed a barrier around Reed Medical Supply. Adult witnesses stood near the far sidewalk. Several held up phones. Amanda parked near a dry cleaning shop and walked quickly toward the scene. An officer stepped in front of her. "You need to stay back. My friend is unconscious." This is a secured area. Then get medical personnel inside it. The officer placed one hand near his belt. Ma'am, step back. Amanda raised both hands and kept them visible. I'm not touching you. I'm asking where the ambulance is. Mercer turned at the sound of her voice. Recognition crossed his face, followed by irritation. Well, he said. Now we have a celebrity. Amanda looked past him. Maya was still on the ground. Cole knelt beside her, speaking into his radio. Her body was turned slightly to one side, one hand resting near her stomach. Amanda took one step forward. Mercer blocked her. You don't cross this line. She needs help. She's being monitored. By whom? Mercer glanced toward Cole. My officer. That's not medical care. Amanda looked around, her voice cutting through the rain. You claimed this was a federal operation, Sergeant. I don't see federal badges. I don't see federal plates. I see a local unit operating outside its jurisdiction, pinning down an unconscious pregnant school counselor. Mercer did not let her finish. Recognizing the threat of her public profile, he pivoted instantly toward the recording phones of the crowd, turning his voice into a weapon of bureaucratic authority to control the narrative. This individual is actively compromising a federal transit perimeter, Mercer declared, pointing a gloved finger at Amanda. Miss Nunes, your celebrity status does not grant you clearance into a high-level state intercept. Step back immediately, or you will be charged with federal obstruction under the same mandate as the primary suspect. Before Amanda could counter his tactical lie, an ambulance cut through the storm, its sirens abruptly dying as it pulled up to the barricade. 2 paramedics bolted out, hauling their trauma kits. Mercer stepped directly into their path, flashing a heavy laminated tactical clearance card. Medical. Hold your positions outside the perimeter. The suspect's vehicle is still undergoing active chemical and hardware sweep. The scene is not cleared for civilian personnel. The older paramedic stopped, his eyes shifting from Mercer's badge to Maya's motionless body on the wet asphalt. Sergeant, I don't care about your sweep. Federal emergency medical priority laws override local transit holds when a patient is unresponsive. That is an 8-month pregnant woman in acute distress. She is an active asset, tied to a high-level conspiracy. Mercer shot back, his voice dropping into a dangerous warning register. If you step over that line, you assume full liability for the contamination of state evidence. Then print me a receipt, the paramedic snapped, completely bypassing Mercer as Cole shouted from the ground that Maya's vitals were dropping. The institutional clash was sharp, but the medical team pushed through, refusing to let Mercer's fabricated protocol stand between them and a dying woman. The medical team reached Maya. One checked her airway, while the other attached a monitor. Amanda stayed outside the line, watching their faces. What's happening? She asked. The younger paramedic glanced up. We need room. Cole moved back. Mercer did not. The monitor sounded sharply. The older paramedic spoke to Maya, trying to wake her. When she did not respond, he instructed his partner to prepare oxygen and transport. Amanda saw Maya's purse near the police cruiser. Her phone was half inside it, screen still lit. Near the store entrance lay the blood pressure monitor she had come to collect. Mercer noticed Amanda looking. Don't touch anything. I wasn't going to. An officer carried the sealed gray envelope toward one of the unmarked SUVs. He did not place it in an evidence bag. He handed it through the open driver's window. Amanda focused on the rear license plate and repeated the numbers silently until she knew she would remember it. The paramedics lifted Maya onto a stretcher. Amanda stepped forward again. I'm going with her. Mercer blocked her a second time. No, she has no family here. She has a husband. Then call him. Mercer's face changed slightly. It was enough for Amanda to notice. You already know who he is, she said. Mercer did not respond. The ambulance doors closed. Amanda watched it leave the plaza. An officer approached her with plastic restraints. You're coming with us for questioning. Amanda turned and held out her hands. Am I under arrest? You're being detained. For asking for an ambulance? For interfering in an active investigation. Amanda looked directly at the nearest phone recording the exchange. I did not touch an officer. I did not cross the perimeter. I asked for medical care. Mercer stepped beside her. You can explain all that downtown. At the station, they questioned Amanda for nearly 3 hours. They asked how long she had known Maya, whether Maya had discussed money problems, whether Daniel had access to emergency management records, and whether Amanda had ever transferred funds to the Williams family. The questions had nothing to do with what happened in the parking lot. Amanda requested an attorney and said nothing more. She was released without charges shortly after dark. By the time Amanda rushed to the Broward County Medical Center, the updates were grim. Maya had regained consciousness only briefly. While the fall left no broken bones, the acute psychological trauma had triggered severe, premature contractions, forcing the doctors to keep her under strict overnight monitoring. The hallway outside the observation unit was suffocatingly quiet. Through the heavy glass door, Amanda spotted Daniel. He wasn't sitting by Maya's side. He was standing in the dark corner of the room, his phone pressed tightly to his ear, his face twisted in a look of absolute panic. Amanda stopped, watching him through the glass. He was furiously whispering into the receiver, pulling a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, a paper that looked exactly like the official grid logs of the Port Everglades storage facility Mercer had mentioned. "I told you to clear the vehicle," Daniel hissed into the phone, his voice catching before he abruptly ended the call, jammed the paper back into his pocket, and deleted the call log. As Amanda stepped into the room, Daniel spun around, his eyes flashing with defensive hostility before he forced his expression to soften. He was still wearing his fire rescue training shirt, but it was soaked with sweat that had nothing to do with the rain. Maya groaned softly, her eyes fluttering open as the monitors ticked beside her. Her voice was barely a breath. "Daniel." He walked over, his movements stiff, almost mechanical. Maya looked past him, her eyes clouded with pain and confusion before settling directly on his face. "Daniel, the police. They found a gray envelope under the seat. Mercer said you knew. He said you were trying to hide it using me." Amanda watched Daniel's face closely. If your heart aches for Maya, a pregnant woman who was pushed to the ground, denied medical help, and may have been used by the person she trusted most, please like this video to show that you stand with her, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from, because someone near you may be watching Maya's story with you right now. The room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Daniel's hand stretched out toward Maya, but it visibly trembled, stopping dead in midair. He looked at Amanda, a silent, desperate plea for silence in his eyes, before looking back down at his wife. "There was no envelope, Maya," Daniel said. His voice was steady, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the bed rail. "You're heavily medicated. You're hallucinating because of the stress." It was a flat, calculated denial. And as the heart monitor spiked slightly, Amanda realized Daniel wasn't just hiding something. He was actively trying to make his own wife look unstable to cover his tracks. Maya remained under observation through the night. The doctors found no serious injury from the fall, but her body had not settled. Her pulse stayed elevated, and the contractions returned whenever a uniform appeared near the doorway. A nurse eventually placed a note outside the room, asking hospital security to keep law enforcement away unless Maya's attorney approved the visit. Daniel sat beside the bed, leaning forward with his hands clasped. Amanda remained near the window. Neither woman accepted his answer about the envelope. "You asked the nurse what they found in the car," Amanda said. "Why?" Daniel looked toward the hall before responding. "Because I heard officers talking when I got here." "Talking about what?" "A package." "You already knew there was a package." "I knew they were searching the vehicle." Maya watched him carefully. "How?" Daniel stood and walked to the door. He checked the hallway, then closed it. "The training center received a security alert this afternoon. It mentioned an operation near Port Everglades and a possible leak involving municipal records." "What does that have to do with me?" Maya asked. "I don't know." Amanda folded her arms. "That answer is becoming a habit." Daniel ignored her. "When I heard your name over the radio, I left." "You heard my name over a city radio?" Maya asked. "Not clearly. I heard Williams, a vehicle description, and Reed medical supply." Maya's expression changed. Why would the fire department hear any of that? It wasn't a normal fire channel. The training involved emergency coordination. Was Grant there? Daniel looked away. Maya pushed herself higher against the pillows. The monitor beside her responded with a faster rhythm. Daniel. He visited the center earlier in the week. Amanda moved closer. Deputy Chief Wallace Grant? Yes. Why? Daniel rubbed one hand over his face. The city is reviewing private security contracts connected to hurricane response. Grant sits on the oversight committee. That still doesn't explain why he knew where Maya would be, Amanda said. I never said he did. You told him she was going to read? No. Maya studied her husband's face. He looked tired, but not surprised enough. The difference frightened her. A knock interrupted them. Dr. Samuel Price entered with a tablet in one hand. He was in his early 50s, with a quiet voice and the cautious manner of someone accustomed to delivering news people might misunderstand. I need everyone to lower the temperature in here, he said. Mrs. Williams's condition is stable, but stress is triggering uterine activity. That does not mean delivery is imminent. It does mean she needs rest. Daniel returned to the chair. Maya asked, Is the baby all right? At the moment, yes. The fetal heart rate is strong. Amanda noticed Maya's breathing slow slightly. Dr. Price continued. The fainting appears connected to acute panic and hyperventilation. We are keeping you overnight, possibly longer, depending on the contractions. Can police question her? Daniel asked. Not if I believe it creates a medical risk. They may come back. Then they can speak with hospital counsel. After the doctor left, Daniel's phone vibrated. He checked the screen and declined the call. Amanda saw the name before it disappeared. Grant, answer it, she said. Daniel slipped the phone into his pocket. Not here. Maya stared at him. Why is he calling you? I don't know. You know more than you're saying. Daniel lowered his voice. I'm trying to keep you out of something. I was pushed onto the ground by police. I'm already in it. He looked at her, then at Amanda. This is bigger than Mercer. Amanda did not move. Then start talking. Daniel opened his mouth, but someone knocked again. A hospital administrator entered with 2 security officers. Behind them stood a woman in a charcoal suit carrying a leather briefcase. Mrs. Williams, the administrator said, this is Elena Brooks. She says she represents you. I didn't call a lawyer, Maya said. Elena stepped into the room. She was 58, composed and direct. No, you didn't. Your school union did. Maya glanced at Daniel. He shook his head. Elena placed her business card on the table. I'm not asking you to sign anything tonight. I'm asking you not to speak to police without counsel. Amanda looked her over. How did you know they were coming? They contacted the hospital. For what? To request an interview and access to Mrs. Williams's medical condition. Dr. Price had already blocked the request, but Elena said the officers would return. She opened her briefcase and removed a copy of the department's preliminary statement. Maya read the first line twice. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department had detained a person connected to an ongoing investigation involving identity theft, unauthorized access to protected records, and the transfer of confidential government material. Her name was not printed in the first paragraph. It appeared in the second. Maya Williams, an employee of Broward Harbor High School, had been identified as a person of interest. Amanda read over her shoulder. They're making her sound like part of a criminal network. Elena nodded. That is the intention. Maya kept reading. The statement claimed officers responded to credible intelligence. It said she refused lawful commands and experienced a medical episode while being detained. It made no mention of Mercer pushing her. They say I became ill, Maya said. Like nothing happened before that. Elena took back the paper. Public statements are not evidence, but they shape what people expect the evidence to show. Daniel asked, what exactly are they accusing her of? They have not filed charges. That wasn't my question. Elena looked at him, then asked the department. You spoke with them? I spoke with hospital counsel and a union representative. Amanda noticed the careful wording. Elena turned to Maya. I need a complete account of your day. Who knew your route? Who had access to your car? Did anyone ask about Reed Medical Supply before today? Maya looked at Daniel. He stood very still. Elena followed her gaze but did not comment. Maya described the meeting at school. Daniel's call, the black SUV, the lost signal, Thomas Reed's question, and the sealed envelope. When she reached the moment Mercer pushed her, her breathing changed. Elena stopped writing. We can pause. No. Maya continued until she described losing consciousness. Elena asked only factual questions. Which officer held her arm? Where was Mercer standing? Who carried the envelope away? Did anyone open it? In her presence? Amanda supplied the license plate number she had memorized. Elena wrote it down, then closed the legal pad. There's something else, she said. She removed several printed images from a folder. The pictures came from a traffic camera near Broward Harbor High School. One showed the black SUV behind Maya's Honda. Another showed the vehicle parked near the faculty lot. The last image was less clear. A hooded figure stood beside Maya's rear passenger door. The person's face was hidden. A metal watch reflected light from the parking lot lamp. Maya recognized the broad band and scratched silver case. Daniel wore one just like it. It had belonged to his father. Amanda looked from the photograph to Daniel. His face tightened. Elena asked, "Where were you at 3:42 this afternoon?" "At the training center." "Can anyone confirm that?" "Yes." "Who?" Daniel hesitated. Elena waited. Maya felt the contractions return. Mild but unmistakable. Daniel reached for her hand. She pulled away. Elena placed the photographs back in the folder. "For tonight, no one leaves alone," she said. "No one discusses this case by phone, and no one speaks to the department without me present." Amanda asked, "Do you believe Daniel planted the envelope?" Elena looked at him for a long moment. "I believe someone wanted Mrs. Williams to think he did." By sunrise, the police department had already released Maya's name. Local stations repeated the same phrase every half hour. Person of interest. The report linked her to identity theft, stolen municipal records, and a possible money laundering network. No charges had been filed. But the language was careful enough to sound official and vague enough to invite suspicion. A television mounted in the hospital room showed footage from the parking lot. Maya saw herself on the ground, beneath a line of officers. The clip ended before the ambulance arrived. The anchor said, "Authorities have not explained why such a large response was necessary, but sources describe the investigation as extensive." Maya reached for the remote and turned off the screen. Daniel stood near the window with his back to the room. Amanda sat in the chair closest to the bed, scrolling through news reports on her phone. Elena remained at the small table, reading the department's statement line by line. "They used your job title," Elena said. "That was deliberate." Maya looked at her. "Why?" "It makes the public connect your access to student records with the identity theft allegation. I don't have access to bank accounts or government files. That won't matter to people who only hear the headline." Daniel turned from the window. "Can they do this without charging her?" "They can call her a person of interest," Elena said. "They can describe the investigation. What they cannot do is knowingly publish false evidence. The problem is proving what they know." Amanda held up her phone. "Mercer is giving an interview at 9. Elena's expression did not change. "Of course he is." Maya's phone buzzed on the table. The school district's human resources director had sent a formal notice placing her on administrative leave pending review. She read it twice. Daniel moved toward her. "You still have your salary?" "For now." "What about insurance?" "For now." Amanda leaned forward. "They're trying to isolate you before you can answer." Elena closed the statement. "Do not respond publicly today." Amanda looked at her. "That's exactly what they want." "No. They want a rushed statement they can dissect. They already have one. They have a press release. We need evidence." Maya listened to them argue, but kept thinking about the photograph from the school parking lot. The watch. Daniel's father had worn it for more than 20 years in the fire service. Daniel wore it on important days and during difficult assignments. It had a wide black band, a scratched silver case, and a shallow dent near the top from a ladder accident. The same shape had caught the light on the hooded figure's wrist. She looked at Daniel's hands. The watch was not there. "Where is it?" she asked. He followed her gaze. "What?" "Your father's watch." Daniel glanced at Amanda, then Elena. "At home. You weren't wearing it yesterday?" "No." "Why not?" The clasp was loose. Maya waited. Daniel added, "I was going to have it repaired." "Did you?" "Not yet." Elena opened her legal pad. "Who else has access to your house?" "No one," Daniel said. "Family?" "My mother has a key." Anyone from the fire department? No. Contractors? Neighbors? Friends? Daniel shook his head, but his answer came too quickly. Amanda noticed. Someone does. Daniel looked at her. Don't start. Then stop answering like you're trying not to lie. I'm not lying. Maya felt pressure building behind her ribs. She forced herself to breathe slowly. Elena, she said, why did you say someone wanted me to suspect him? Because the image is too useful. That doesn't answer me. The person approaches your car where a traffic camera can see them. The face is hidden, but the watch is visible. That suggests staging, or Daniel was careless. Daniel flinched. Elena continued. Either possibility remains open. A nurse entered and checked Maya's monitor. Her blood pressure had risen again. You need less conversation, the nurse said. Not more. Maya almost laughed. I'll put that on the list. The nurse gave Daniel and Amanda a firm look. 10 minutes. After she left, Elena gathered her files. I'm requesting the original traffic footage, the dispatch logs, and the evidence inventory from Maya's vehicle. Amanda asked, what if they refuse? They will. Then what? Then, they create a record of refusing. Amanda stood. That's not going to stop Mercer. No. But it may stop him from controlling every version of the story. Daniel's phone rang. He looked at the screen. Grant. This time Maya saw the name. Answer it, she said. Daniel did not move. Put it on speaker. He won't talk if Amanda and Elena are here. Then, he can hang up. Daniel answered and activated the speaker. Chief, Grant's voice was calm. Daniel, we need to speak privately. My wife is in the room. A pause followed. I understand she has counsel. She does. Elena leaned toward the phone. This is Elena Brooks. Grant's tone cooled. Then I suggest Mr. Williams call me when he is free to discuss city business. What city business? Maya asked. Grant ignored her question. Daniel, do not discuss restricted training information with anyone. That includes family. The call ended. Amanda stared at the phone. That sounded like a warning. Daniel slipped it into his pocket. It was. To you or to Maya? Elena asked. Daniel did not answer. Later that morning, Maya was discharged under strict instructions to rest, avoid stress, and return if the contractions became regular. Amanda drove her home. Daniel followed in his truck. 2 news vans were parked near the house. A reporter approached before Maya had fully stepped out of the vehicle. Mrs. Williams, were you involved in moving confidential witness information through the school district? Amanda moved between them. Back up, another reporter called out. Did your husband provide access to emergency management systems? Daniel stopped beside the truck. His face changed at the question. Maya saw it. Inside the house, the silence felt unfamiliar. The nursery door stood open. The crib box remained against the wall. Elena arrived 20 minutes later, carrying printed traffic camera images. She placed them on the kitchen table. I obtained a wider frame, she said. The image showed the hooded figure beside Maya's car. A black SUV waited near the faculty lot. On the far edge of the frame, a second person stood beside the vehicle. The face was unclear, but the uniform was not. Police. Amanda leaned closer. Can you identify him? Not yet. Maya looked from the officer to the hooded figure. The scene no longer appeared to show one person acting alone. It looked coordinated. Elena tapped the timestamp. This was recorded 26 minutes before Daniel called you. Maya turned toward him. Daniel's expression closed. What aren't you telling me? She asked. He stood near the kitchen doorway, one hand gripping the back of a chair. I called Grant 2 days ago, Amanda said. About what? Daniel looked at Maya. A city contract. What contract? He hesitated. Before he could answer, headlights appeared through the front window. A dark sedan had stopped across the street. The engine remained running. No one got out. Amanda turned off the kitchen light and moved to the side of the window. The sedan stayed in place. Daniel reached for the front door. Don't, Maya said. I'm not standing here while someone watches the house. That may be exactly what they want. Elena stepped beside Amanda but remained away from the glass. Do either of you recognize the vehicle? Daniel shook his head. Amanda lifted her phone and zoomed in on the license plate. The angle was poor, but she captured several images. The sedan pulled away less than a minute later. No one inside the house spoke until its taillights disappeared. Elena checked the time and wrote it on her legal pad. From now on, document every vehicle, call, message, and visitor. Do not delete anything. Daniel gave a short, humorless laugh. You think someone is intimidating us? I think someone wants you to feel watched. Whether they intend more than that remains to be seen. Maya lowered herself into a kitchen chair. The pressure in her abdomen had eased, but her hands were still cold. What contract did you call Grant about? Daniel remained near the doorway. A private security contract tied to the city's hurricane response program. What was wrong with it? Equipment was billed that never arrived. Amanda asked, what kind of equipment? Portable generators, satellite units, emergency radios. Some of it was supposed to go to fire rescue stations. We received less than half of what the city paid for. And Grant oversees the contract? He sits on the committee that approved it. Elena wrote down the company name when Daniel gave it. Sentinel Civic Solutions. Why call Grant instead of internal audit? She asked. I did call internal audit. They sent me back to his office. What did Grant say? That inventory delays happen. Then he told me to stay in my lane. Maya studied him. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought it was paperwork and politics. I didn't think anyone would put something in your car. You still don't know that they did. Daniel looked at the traffic camera images. No, but I know you didn't. The answer should have comforted her. It did not. By noon, the police department released a second statement. It confirmed that the operation had been planned in advance, based on credible intelligence. It also claimed Maya had been given multiple chances to cooperate. Mercer appeared on local television 30 minutes later. He wore his uniform and stood outside police headquarters with Grant several feet behind him. We understand the public's concern, Mercer said. Anytime a pregnant individual experiences a medical emergency, emotions run high. Our officers followed established procedure in a complex and potentially dangerous investigation. A reporter asked why Maya had been pushed to the ground. Mercer's expression remained steady. That characterization is not supported by the information available to us. Another reporter mentioned his statement in the parking lot that he could arrest anyone without a reason. Mercer shook his head. Short video clips often remove context. I was attempting to control a volatile crowd. Maya watched from the sofa. He sounded reasonable. That disturbed her more than anger would have. The man on television did not resemble the officer who had slapped his badge and looked down at her on the pavement. His voice was lower. His posture was controlled. He spoke about public safety, difficult decisions, and respect for due process. Daniel muted the television. Amanda said, "He knows exactly how he looks." Elena sat at the dining table with her laptop open. That interview was not for the public. It was for future jurors. Maya looked at her. Can we release the video of what he said? The delivery driver's recording is incomplete. His hand drops before Mercer finishes. Another witness captured the statement, but her audio is poor, so he can say it never happened. He can say it was misunderstood. Amanda paced toward the hallway. Then let me speak. No. Amanda turned. You keep saying that, because every public statement gives them material. You have a reputation for confrontation. They will use it. I asked for an ambulance, and they are already calling it interference. Maya watched the tension between them. Elena did not raise her voice, but her refusal carried the finality of an order. Amanda disliked being ordered to wait. What are you doing instead? She asked. I filed preservation demands for dispatch audio, body camera footage, traffic records, and the evidence log. And the department acknowledged receipt. That means nothing. It means they cannot later claim they were never told to preserve the material. Amanda looked at Maya. This is how evidence disappears. Everyone sends letters, while the people holding it decide what survives. Elena closed the laptop. You hired me to build a case, not a spectacle. Maya answered before Amanda could. I didn't hire you. The union called you. The room went quiet. Elena held Maya's gaze. Then decide whether you want me here. Maya thought about the hospital, the photographs. and Elena's refusal to explain why she knew the operation involved more than Mercer. I want to know who you met at the waterfront restaurant. Elena did not ask how Maya knew. That meeting was unrelated to your representation. It was Grant's aide. Daniel looked up. Amanda stopped pacing. Elena's expression remained unchanged. Samuel Price contacted me before the ambush, she said. Why? Maya asked. I cannot discuss that. You can't discuss Grant. You can't discuss the federal investigation. You can't explain why you held the wider camera frame until today. What exactly can you discuss? The evidence that can be verified. Maya felt her trust narrowing. Daniel asked, Did Price know Maya was being targeted? I don't know. Did he warn you? No. Amanda stepped closer to the table. Are you negotiating with them? Elena gathered her papers slowly. If I were negotiating a settlement, you would know. That isn't what I asked. Elena placed the legal pad in her case. I have another meeting. With whom? She did not answer. After Elena left, Amanda followed her to the porch and watched her drive away. She's hiding something, Amanda said when she returned. Daniel looked toward the window. So am I, apparently. Maya closed her eyes. That isn't funny. I know. A knock sounded at the front door. Everyone froze. Daniel checked the camera feed on his phone. Mrs. Evelyn Carter stood on the porch holding a covered dish and a grocery bag. At 72, she had lived 3 houses down from Maya for almost 20 years. Daniel opened the door. Mrs. Carter looked at each of them before stepping inside. I brought chicken, bread, and enough coffee to keep this whole street awake. You didn't have to do that, Maya said. I know. She placed the food on the counter, then sat beside Maya without asking questions. Her presence changed the room. No strategy, no accusation, no demand for answers. Only company. Later that evening, other neighbors arrived. A retired mechanic parked his truck across from the house. Denise brought school paperwork and promised the faculty had not forgotten Maya. Robert Gaines, the delivery driver from the parking lot, emailed Amanda the full video from his phone. Most of it was blocked by officers. One detail was clear. The police vehicles had entered the plaza before Maya walked out of the store. Elena had been right. The operation was waiting for her. Near midnight, Amanda sent the footage to a private investigator she trusted. Then she checked the photographs of Elena's car from earlier that day. One image showed Elena leaving the neighborhood. Another vehicle followed 2 cars behind her. It was the same dark sedan that had watched Maya's house. Amanda enlarged the picture. The driver's face remained unclear, but the passenger was visible. Samuel Price sat in the front seat, looking directly toward Elena's car. Amanda waited until morning before showing Maya the photograph. The image was grainy, but Samuel Price was clearly visible inside the sedan that had watched the house. Elena's car appeared several lengths ahead. Daniel studied the screen. Price works for Grant. I know, Amanda said. What I don't know is whether Elena was being followed or meeting them. Maya sat at the kitchen table with both hands around a glass of water. She had slept less than 3 hours. Call her. Amanda did. Elena answered on the 4th ring. Were you followed yesterday? Amanda asked. A brief pause followed. Why? The sedan outside Maya's house had Samuel Price in it. Elena's voice remained controlled. Send me the photograph. Were you meeting him? Send the photograph. That isn't an answer. No, it isn't. The call ended. Amanda placed the phone on the table. She knew he was there. You don't know that, Daniel said. She didn't sound surprised. Maya's phone vibrated. A bank notification appeared on the screen. She opened it, expecting a routine payment. Instead, she found a new account connected to the family profile. The account had been opened 6 days earlier under Daniel's name. Its balance was $200,000. For several seconds, Maya thought she had misread the number. She turned the phone toward him. What is this? Daniel looked at the screen and went still. Amanda leaned over Maya's shoulder. 200,000? Maya watched her husband's face. When were you going to tell me? Daniel pulled out a chair but did not sit. I didn't open that account. It has your name on it. I can see that. The transfer came from Harbor Strategic Consulting. Daniel looked toward the window. Amanda noticed. You recognize it. It's connected to Sentinel. How? They use Harbor for consulting payments. Maya's voice tightened. Why would they send you money? I don't know. Don't do that again. Do what? Stand in my kitchen and tell me you don't know while your face says something else. Daniel lowered his voice. We should not discuss this here. Amanda gave a short laugh. That usually means the discussion is overdue. Daniel took Maya's phone and examined the transaction details. Do not move the money. Do not call the bank from this house. Why? Because whoever opened this account wants a reaction. Maya pulled the phone back. You said the same thing about the contract. Then I ended up surrounded by police. I'm trying to protect you. From what? Daniel did not answer. The silence was enough. Maya stood too quickly and caught the edge of the table. Amanda reached for her, but Maya stepped away. I need air. You're not going outside alone, Daniel said. She looked at him. You don't get to give me orders today. Maya walked to the unfinished nursery and closed the door. The crib box remained against the wall. She sat on the floor beside it, trying to slow her breathing. Her memory returned in broken pieces. Mercer's hand against her back, the gray envelope, Cole's grip on her arm, Daniel asking which store she planned to visit. She knew she had never seen the envelope before the police found it. At least she believed she knew. What if someone had given it to her earlier? What if she had placed it in the car without noticing? The thought was irrational, yet fear kept feeding it. A knock sounded. Amanda entered without waiting for permission. He's hiding something, Maya said. Yes. You said that too quickly. I'm not going to lie because you're scared. Maya pressed her palms against her eyes. I keep replaying the parking lot. Every time I do, something changes. That's panic, not guilt. How do you know? Because I know you. That isn't evidence. Amanda sat beside her. No, she said. It isn't. The honesty helped more than reassurance would have. An hour later, Elena arrived with a man carrying 2 locked equipment cases. Dr. Howard Klein was a forensic fingerprint specialist who had worked for federal agencies before opening a private laboratory in Miami. He was in his 60s, precise in his movements, and visibly uncomfortable inside a crowded family home. Elena introduced him, then asked Daniel and Amanda to leave the room while he spoke with Maya. Klein placed enlarged photographs of the gray envelope on the table. The department claims 3 usable prints belong to you, he said. All located in the same area. Is that unusual? It can be. He pointed to the images. The pressure pattern is too consistent. When people handle an envelope naturally, prints appear at different angles and strengths. These look transferred from another smooth surface. Maya thought of the paper cup police had given her during questioning. Could they have taken my prints from something else? Possibly. I need the original evidence and collection records before I can say more, Elena asked. How soon can you prepare a preliminary opinion? 2 days, assuming the department cooperates. They won't. Then longer. Klein packed the photographs and left. Elena remained behind. Amanda entered from the hallway. Are you going to explain Samuel Price? No. Then explain why you were followed by him. Elena looked at Maya rather than Amanda. I need you to trust that some information cannot be disclosed yet. Maya felt anger replace fear. Everyone keeps asking me to trust them while hiding things. Elena opened her briefcase. Then trust the documents. She handed Maya a preservation request sent to the police department and the city. It demanded access to the envelope, body camera files, dispatch records, and evidence management logs. At the bottom was a response acknowledging receipt but refusing immediate access because the investigation remained active. They can delay us, Elena said. They cannot claim we failed to ask. Amanda shook her head. Paper does not stop them from deleting footage. No. But deletion after notice becomes evidence. Maya looked at Elena. If Klein proves the fingerprints were transferred, will you release it? When it is authenticated. That means no. It means not yet. Elena left shortly afterward. That afternoon, news reports revealed that Maya had access to confidential family information through the school district. The reports failed to explain that counselors used the system only for attendance, emergency contacts, and support services. One host asked whether Maya had used student identities to move money. Another described Amanda as an aggressive celebrity, pressuring witnesses. By evening, Daniel's name appeared beside the $200,000 transfer. He closed every curtain in the house. Maya watched him move from room to room. "Where is your father's watch?" she asked. Daniel stopped. "At the repair shop." "Which one?" "A place near Sunrise." "Do you have a receipt?" He searched a kitchen drawer and produced a claim ticket. The date showed he had left the watch there 3 weeks earlier. Maya felt brief relief. Then she noticed the business name, Harbor Watch, and Jewelry, the same word as Harbor Strategic Consulting. Daniel took the ticket from her. It could be a coincidence. Maya stared at him. "You don't believe that?" Before he could answer, Elena called. Dr. Klein's office had been burglarized. Every computer and backup drive connected to Maya's case was gone. No cash, jewelry, or laboratory equipment had been taken. Only the files. Amanda listened on speaker. When the call ended, she picked up her keys. "Where are you going?" Maya asked. "To follow Daniel." Daniel turned toward her. "What?" Amanda held up her phone. A private investigator had sent her a live location from Daniel's truck. "You left the house last night at 11:30. You drove to an industrial warehouse owned by a Sentinel subcontractor." Maya looked at her husband. Daniel's expression hardened. Amanda opened the front door. "He's meeting someone there again tonight." Amanda reached the warehouse district before Daniel. She parked across from a row of low concrete buildings and turned off the headlights. Most of the units were dark. One loading bay near the end of the block remained open, with a white security van parked beside it. The building belonged to Southline Emergency Logistics, a subcontractor tied to Sentinel Civic Solutions. Amanda checked the message from her investigator again. Daniel's truck was less than 5 minutes away. She called Maya. "Where are you?" Maya asked. "Near the warehouse. You said you were following him. I got here first. Don't confront him alone." Amanda looked at the open loading bay. "Stay inside with Mrs. Carter." She went home. "Lock the door." "Amanda, I'll call you when I know what this is." She ended the call before Maya could argue. Daniel's Ford F-150 turned onto the street 3 minutes later. He parked behind the warehouse and entered through a side door without looking around. Amanda waited 30 seconds, then crossed the road. Inside, the air smelled of dust, oil, and damp cardboard. Rows of metal shelving divided the warehouse into narrow lanes. Emergency generators, boxed radios, and orange rescue equipment filled only part of the space. Many shelves were empty. Voices came from a room at the rear. Amanda moved closer. "You should have stopped after the first request," a man said. Daniel answered. "You sent money into my name. You asked questions about money. We gave you an answer. That account proves nothing. It proves whatever investigators decide it proves." Amanda reached the open office door. Daniel stood across from Victor Lane, a former police lieutenant who now worked as regional operations director for Sentinel. Lane was in his 50s, heavy through the shoulders, with a trimmed gray beard and a gold ring on one hand. A thick envelope lay between them on a desk. Lane saw Amanda first. His expression tightened. Daniel turned. "What are you doing here? Finding out why you keep lying to your wife." Lane picked up the envelope. Amanda stepped into the doorway. "Put that down." He gave her a tired smile. "This is private business." "Then, why does it involve Maya?" "It doesn't." Daniel moved toward Lane. "Give me the records." Lane backed toward a second door. Amanda saw the white security van through the open loading bay behind him. "Don't leave with that envelope," she said. Lane laughed once. "You planning to stop me?" "No. I'm planning to make sure everyone sees you run." She lifted her phone. The recording light was already on. Lane's smile disappeared. He pushed through the rear door and moved toward the van. Amanda followed. Daniel shouted for her to wait. But Lane had already reached the driver's side. Amanda pulled her SUV across the loading lane, blocking the van's path. Lane climbed in and started the engine. The van lurched forward, stopped inches from Amanda's vehicle, then reversed. Daniel reached through the open passenger window and grabbed the envelope from the seat. Lane struck his arm away. The envelope tore. Documents spilled across the wet concrete. Lane drove off through a side exit, leaving papers scattered behind him. Amanda and Daniel gathered them quickly. Some were invoices. Others were payment schedules. equipment manifests, and internal emails. Daniel stared at one page. Amanda took it from him. A shipment listed 22 satellite communication units billed to the city. A handwritten note showed that only 9 had been delivered. Another invoice charged the city for mobile generators that had never reached the fire stations named on the forms. Several approval boxes carried Wallace Grant's initials. Amanda looked at Daniel. "This is what you were hiding?" "Part of it." "Part." Daniel collected the remaining pages. A firefighter in procurement noticed the shortages last spring. He reported them. 2 weeks later, he was accused of falsifying overtime. What happened to him? He was fired. And you kept investigating? Yes, without telling Maya. I thought it was contract fraud. I didn't know Grant would use her. Amanda held up a transfer sheet. Harbor Strategic Consulting appeared between Sentinel and 3 city vendors. The 200,000? A trap. After I requested the complete invoices, Harbor opened the account under my name and sent the money. They expected me to move it or panic. You did neither. I contacted a state investigator. Who? I'm not giving you the name. Amanda stepped closer. That attitude is why Maya thinks you planted evidence in her car. Daniel looked away. She asked me if I did. He said quietly. I saw it in her face. You gave her reasons. I was trying to keep her away from this. She was already on the ground. The words landed hard. Daniel gathered the last pages and placed them in the torn envelope. Amanda noticed his wrist. No watch. Show me the repair ticket again. Daniel pulled it from his wallet. Amanda photographed it, then looked at the date. 3 weeks before the ambush. Could someone at the repair shop copy the watch? The band and case, maybe. Who recommended the shop? Daniel hesitated. Grant's assistant, he said. Amanda stared at him. Samuel Price? Yes. They returned to Maya's house before midnight. Maya was waiting at the kitchen table. Denise Harper sat beside her, and a retired mechanic from across the street watched through the front window. Daniel placed the documents in front of Maya. She read the invoices without speaking. When she reached the page with Grant's initials, she looked up. You knew he was involved. I suspected. You knew enough to call him. Yes, and you let me believe the call was routine. Daniel sat across from her. I thought silence would keep you outside the investigation. Maya pushed the documents away. Silence. Put me in the middle of it without a map. Daniel lowered his eyes. Amanda showed Maya the repair ticket and explained the connection to Samuel Price. The evidence weakened the theory that Daniel had planted the envelope. It did not erase the weeks of secrecy. Maya turned to Daniel. You don't get trust back because one lie had a reason. I know. No. You know now. A sound struck the front window. Glass cracked across the center. Everyone ducked. Daniel moved toward Maya. Amanda ran to the porch as a dark car accelerated away. A brick lay inside the living room among broken glass. There was no note attached. No message painted on it. The warning needed no words. Within minutes, neighbors began coming out of their homes. Mr. Gaines parked his delivery van near the curb. Denise called the police, then immediately began recording the time and names of every officer who arrived. Mrs. Carter returned with folding chairs and a thermos of coffee. No one announced a plan. They simply stayed. Near dawn, Daniel's phone rang. He answered and listened without speaking. Then he handed the phone to Maya. Thomas Reed was on the line. His voice was low and unsteady. I told the police my cameras were down, he said. That wasn't true. Maya sat straighter. Thomas continued. I recorded the parking lot. I recorded all of it. Thomas refused to discuss the recording over the phone. I need to see you in person, he said. Not at your house. Not at the store while customers are there. Maya looked at Amanda and Daniel. Broken glass still covered part of the living room floor. When? She asked. After closing. 8:30. Will you be alone? A pause followed. I hope so. The line ended. By evening, Elena had arranged for Maya to meet Thomas inside Reed Medical Supply. She insisted on choosing the route, changing vehicles once, and leaving their phones at Maya's house. Amanda did not like any of it. You trust her too easily, she told Maya as they sat in the back of Denise Harper's sedan. I don't trust anyone easily anymore. That should include Elena. It does. Denise drove without asking questions. She was frightened, but she had refused to let Maya travel with Daniel after the brick attack. Daniel remained at the house with the neighbors, organizing temporary repairs and checking the street cameras. They reached the shopping plaza shortly before 8:30. Reed Medical Supply was dark, except for the office at the rear. Thomas unlocked the side door and let them in. He looked older than he had a week earlier. His shirt was wrinkled, and dark circles marked the skin beneath his eyes. "Elena isn't here?" Maya asked. She said she'd arrived separately. Thomas locked the door behind them. Amanda scanned the store. "Where's the recording?" "Safe." "That's not what I asked." Thomas stiffened. "I spent 38 years building this place. I have employees who depend on it. My daughter signed the mortgage when we expanded." Amanda lowered her voice. "Maya nearly went into labor because Mercer wanted to put on a show. I know what happened. My camera saw it. Then give us the video." Thomas looked toward Maya. "Sergeant Mercer came here the night after the arrest." Maya said nothing. "He asked about tax records, building permits. He knew my daughter's address and where my grandchildren go to daycare." Amanda took a step closer. "So he threatened you. He explained what could happen if people misunderstood my role." "That's a threat." Thomas rubbed both hands over his face. "Call it whatever you want." Maya heard footsteps near the rear office. Elena entered carrying her briefcase. "You should not have come through the front lot," she said to Amanda. "We didn't." Elena looked at Thomas. "Is the drive ready?" He nodded but did not move. Before anyone could continue, Elena's phone rang. She checked the screen and walked into the office. Amanda watched her through the glass partition. Elena kept her voice low. She turned away from them and opened her laptop. A video file was already displayed on the screen. Amanda caught one frame before Elena minimized it. A hooded figure stood beside Maya's CRV. Amanda crossed the room. "What was that?" Elena closed the laptop. "Private material." It showed Maya's car. Thomas moved between them. "Keep your voices down." Amanda looked at Maya. "She has the footage of someone planting the envelope." Maya turned to Elena. "Is that true?" Elena remained silent for a moment. "I have a recording from the school parking lot." "How long have you had it?" "Almost 2 weeks." The answer landed harder than Maya expected. "You let me keep believing Daniel might have done it. I told you the image may have been staged. You had video. I had incomplete video from a confidential source." Amanda reached for the laptop. Elena pulled it away. "Do not touch my property." "Then open it." "No." Thomas stepped back, alarmed by the sudden tension. Maya held Elena's gaze. "Show me." Elena did. The recording was short and grainy. A hooded person approached Maya's Honda while she remained inside the school. The figure opened the rear passenger door, leaned inside, and withdrew seconds later. The face was hidden. The person wore a firefighter-style jacket and a wide metal watch. Daniel's watch. Maya felt a cold pressure in her chest. "Why did you hide this?" "Because the source is connected to someone inside law enforcement." "Who?" "I cannot tell you." Amanda pointed at the screen. "You protected a source, while Maya questioned her husband every night. I protected evidence that would have disappeared if released too early. You don't know that. I know more about evidence handling than you do, and less about what this has done to her." Elena's expression hardened. "This case will not survive if every discovery is released to satisfy immediate emotion." Maya closed the laptop. "You don't get to decide what I can survive. I am trying to keep you out of prison. You're doing it by keeping me blind." Thomas looked toward the locked door. "This is not the place for this." Maya turned to him. "Do you still have the parking lot video?" "Yes." "Will you give it to me?" Thomas hesitated. Amanda exhaled sharply. He said, "I need protection for my family first." Elena nodded. "That can be arranged." "By whom?" Amanda asked. "Grant?" Elena looked at her. Amanda continued. "We saw you meet Samuel Price. We saw his car watching Maya's house. Now you have hidden footage from a police source. Samuel Price contacted me before Maya's detention." "About what?" "I cannot disclose that." Maya felt something inside her settle. Not trust. Not certainty. A decision. "Elena, I'm ending your representation." Thomas stared at her. Elena did not react immediately. "That would be unwise." "Maybe. But I need a lawyer who remembers I am a person before I am a case." You will not find another attorney with access to the federal contacts required here. That sounds like a threat. It is a fact. Maya handed Elena the business card she had carried since the hospital. I'm done. Elena took it without argument. Thomas's fear increased. If she isn't your lawyer, I'm not giving anyone the drive tonight. Amanda turned toward him. You called us. I called. Because I thought there was a plan. There was. No. There was pressure. Maya stopped Amanda before she could answer. Mr. Reed, keep it safe. Call when you're ready. Thomas looked ashamed, but relieved. Outside, Denise waited with the engine running. On the drive home, Maya hired a local attorney recommended by the school union. He called within an hour and advised her to consider a settlement before criminal charges were filed. The city's offer arrived the following morning. It included medical coverage, restoration of Maya's job, and a confidential payment large enough to erase Daniel's mortgage and Grace's future medical bills. In return, Maya had to admit the police acted on reasonable information and agree never to discuss the detention publicly. Daniel read the document twice. Don't sign it, he said. Amanda looked surprised. Maya did not. The offer was too fast, too polished, and too generous. By afternoon, a photograph appeared online. Elena stood in a courthouse corridor with Wallace Grant. They were shaking hands. The image spread across local media before Maya could reach her. That evening, police vehicles arrived at Reed Medical Supply. Thomas was led from the store in handcuffs, while cameras recorded the scene. The department announced that he had been arrested for financial fraud, tax violations, and evidence tampering. By the time Amanda reached the plaza, the store was sealed. The computers were gone. So was the recording. The department released Cole's body camera footage 3 days after Thomas's arrest. Elena had requested the file before Maya dismissed her. The court order was still valid, so the department had no choice but to provide something. Amanda brought the copy to Maya's house. Daniel connected the drive to a laptop while Denise closed the curtains. Mrs. Carter sat near the kitchen doorway with a cup of coffee, saying little but refusing to leave. The video began with Maya already on the pavement. Amanda leaned closer to the screen. Where's the beginning? Daniel checked the file information. This is the beginning. No, it isn't. The first visible frame showed Cole kneeling beside Maya. Her breathing was rapid. Mercer stood several feet away, speaking to another officer. The timestamp read 4 hours, 18 minutes, and 37 seconds, p.m. Amanda opened a witness video recorded from across the lot. Maya had fallen at approximately 4 hours, 17 minutes, and 25 seconds. 72 seconds were missing. Maya stared at the screen. That's when he pushed me. Daniel replayed the opening. Cole's voice came through the speaker. Ma'am, stop moving, Maya answered, but her words were difficult to understand. Mercer stepped into the frame. You saw her reach first, he said. Cole looked up. She didn't reach. Mercer moved closer to him. You saw her reach toward you. No, Sergeant. The sound cut off. The picture continued for 9 seconds without audio. Then both returned at the moment Amanda entered the parking lot. Daniel paused the recording. He was telling Cole what to write. Amanda nodded. And someone removed the rest. Maya looked at Elena's name on the court order document beside the laptop. She had not spoken to Elena since ending the representation. Send it to her, Maya said. Amanda turned. Why? Because she knows how to trace the deletion. You fired her. I know. Daniel sent the file before Amanda could object. Elena replied less than 20 minutes later. Do not upload this anywhere. I am sending a metadata specialist. Amanda read the message aloud. She still thinks she's in charge. Maya closed the laptop. Right now, she knows more than we do. The specialist arrived that evening. Rachel Kim was a former digital evidence examiner in her 40s, who now worked on civil and criminal cases throughout South Florida. She inspected the file without altering it. The footage was exported from the department system yesterday morning, Rachel said. But the original was accessed several times before that. Can you see who accessed it? Daniel asked. Not from this copy. I need the server audit log. Amanda folded her arms. Which they control. For now. Rachel pointed to a sequence of metadata entries. The missing section was not caused by the camera turning off. The recording continued. Someone removed 72 seconds during evidence processing. Maya asked, "Can you prove that?" "I can prove the file was edited. Identifying the user requires the administrative records." Daniel looked at the department response. "Grant's office controls those records." Rachel nodded. "Then Grant's office will know exactly what disappeared." The next morning, Elena filed an emergency motion requesting the server logs. The department responded that an administrative account may have been compromised by an unknown user. Grant held a press conference before the judge could rule. He stood beside Mercer and announced that the department had discovered evidence of unauthorized access to its digital systems. A reporter asked whether the missing footage had been deleted from Grant's account. Grant answered carefully, "Credentials can be stolen. Access records do not prove who sat at a keyboard." Mercer then stepped forward. He said activists had manipulated public expectations by releasing incomplete recordings. He described Cole as a young officer under intense pressure and warned against drawing conclusions from fragmented audio. No one mentioned Mercer instructing Cole to say Maya reached first. Cole was removed from patrol that afternoon. His union representative said he had been assigned administrative duties. By evening, no one could locate him. Amanda called his station. The desk officer claimed not to know his schedule. Elena contacted the union. They refused to confirm whether Cole remained in the city. Daniel drove past Cole's apartment. His car was gone. The blinds were closed. Mail had begun collecting near the door. Maya stood in her kitchen and wrote every event in a spiral notebook. She recorded dates, times, names, and exact wording. The habit calmed her. Digital records could be changed. Memory could fail under pressure. Paper at least remained where she put it. Denise brought written statements from several adult staff members who had seen the black SUV near the school. Robert Gaines described Mercer's words in the parking lot and signed his statement before a notary. Linda Patterson identified the officer who carried the gray envelope toward the unmarked SUV. None of their accounts proved the full conspiracy, but together they prevented the official version from becoming the only one. Thomas's daughter, Karen, called Amanda that afternoon. "My father was supposed to appear in county court this morning," she said. "He never arrived." "Was the hearing postponed?" "No. They said he was transferred." "To where?" "They won't tell me." Amanda contacted the jail. The clerk found no active booking under Thomas Reed's name. Elena called 3 county facilities and received 3 different answers. One said Thomas had been released. Another said federal authorities had taken custody. The third said the transfer record was sealed. Karen's voice broke when Amanda called her back. "He's 67. He has blood pressure medication. They wouldn't even let me bring it." "We'll find him," Amanda said. Maya heard the promise from across the room. She said nothing. Promises had begun to frighten her almost as much as threats. That evening, a courier delivered an envelope addressed to Maya. Inside was Dr. Klein's preliminary fingerprint analysis. No letter accompanied it. Only a yellow note in Elena's handwriting. "Keep the original off every network." Amanda read the report. Klein had concluded that Maya's prints on the gray envelope showed signs of artificial transfer. It was the strongest evidence they had received. It was also unsigned. Without Klein, it could be attacked as an unfinished opinion. Maya placed the report inside her notebook. "Do you think Elena sent this to help us?" Daniel asked. Amanda looked toward the dark window. "Or to remind us she still has the only complete copy." The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Daniel checked the porch camera. Karen Reed stood outside holding a small padded envelope. When Maya opened the door, Karen held it out with both hands. "This came to my house today. No return address." Inside was a brass key. A paper tag attached to it carried a single number. "Storage box 12, Karen said. "At my father's store." Amanda looked toward the sealed building visible in the news photographs on her phone. "If Thomas mailed this before they took him," she said, "then whatever Mercer wanted may still be inside." The court seal on Reed Medical Supply remained in place, but Karen still had legal access to the building as Thomas's daughter and business manager. Elena arranged for a locksmith, a notary, and an independent digital technician to meet them there the following morning. She did not ask Maya to restore her as counsel. She simply sent the names, credentials, and a written chain of custody procedure. Amanda read the message twice. "She planned all of this before we called her. Maya folded the printed instructions. That does not mean I trust her. No, but it means she knew the key mattered. Daniel drove Maya and Karen to the store. Amanda followed in her SUV. A local attorney from the school union joined them, though he spent most of the drive warning that entering a sealed business might create new problems. Karen held up the property documents. The seal applies to police evidence. It does not transfer ownership of my father's building to the department. The attorney stopped arguing. A county clerk confirmed by phone that they could enter as long as they did not disturb items listed in the search inventory. The locksmith opened the side door. The brass bell above the front entrance remained silent. Inside, the store looked abandoned. Boxes had been left open. File drawers stood empty. Dust outlined the places where police had removed computers and recording equipment. Karen walked toward the back office. Storage box 12 was built into the base of an old steel cabinet. It looked too small to hold anything useful. The brass key fit. Before Karen turned it, the notary began recording the time, location, and names of everyone present. The technician placed an evidence bag and a clean drive on the table. Karen opened the compartment. Inside was a black backup drive wrapped in an anti-static pouch. Nothing else. Amanda looked at Maya. That has to be it. No assumptions, the technician said. His name was Eric Lawson, a digital forensics consultant in his early 60s. He photographed the drive from several angles, checked the serial number, and placed it inside a portable write-blocking device. If the file opens, he said, we create verified copies before anyone watches it. The process took 20 minutes. No one spoke. Maya sat in Thomas's office chair with both feet on the floor, using the breathing pattern Mrs. Carter had taught her. Daniel stood behind her, but did not touch her. Eric finally looked up. There are 3 video files. Same date. Different camera angles. Are they intact? Karen asked. Yes. He created 3 copies, calculated the digital hashes, and printed the verification results. Only then did he open the first file. The exterior camera showed police vehicles entering the plaza before Maya left the store. Mercer stepped out of an unmarked SUV and spoke with Cole near Maya's Honda. The camera had no audio, but the timing was clear. The operation had been waiting. The second file came from a camera above the store entrance. Maya appeared carrying the blood pressure monitor. Officers moved toward her before she reached her car. Mercer ordered her to stop. Cole took her arm. Then Mercer placed his hand against her back and pushed. Maya fell. Karen covered her mouth. Daniel stared at the screen without blinking. Amanda's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The footage continued. Witnesses moved closer. Mercer sent officers toward them. Maya began struggling to breathe. Cole crouched beside her. Mercer remained standing. An officer picked up Maya's purse and placed it near the cruiser. Another opened the rear door of the Honda. He reached beneath the seat and removed the gray envelope. The third file showed the evidence handoff from a side angle. The officer carried the envelope to an unmarked SUV and passed it through the driver's window without placing it in a bag, marking it, or showing it to Maya. Amanda pointed at the screen. That's the plate I memorized. Eric paused the frame. The number matched. The video then showed Amanda arriving with her hands visible. She never crossed the perimeter. She never touched Mercer or any other officer. The ambulance entered several minutes later. Maya watched herself lying on the pavement until she could no longer look. Stop it, she said. Eric closed the file. Karen lowered herself into a chair. My father had all of this, and that is why they took him, Daniel said. The union attorney examined the verification printouts. His caution disappeared. This clears Maya. Elena, who had joined through a secure video call, answered from the laptop. It proves Mercer lied about the physical detention. It proves the operation was staged before the supposed discovery. It proves Amanda did not interfere. Amanda leaned toward the screen. You sound disappointed. I sound careful. What does it not prove? It does not show who placed the envelope in the car. It does not establish where Thomas is. It does not connect Grant directly to the deletion of Cole's footage. Maya looked at the frozen image of Mercer pushing her. It proves enough for today. Elena nodded. Then release it properly. Copies went to 3 news organizations: the Federal Civil Rights Office, the court, and an independent evidence repository. At the same time, by noon, The footage was everywhere. Local stations abandoned the department's earlier language and showed the push repeatedly. National outlets picked up the story. Commentators who had questioned Maya's account began asking why Mercer had remained on duty. The school district called within 2 hours. Maya's administrative leave was lifted. She was not expected to return until cleared medically, but the letter restoring her position arrived before sunset. Mercer was placed on administrative suspension. Grant announced an external review and promised full cooperation. Amanda's sponsors issued statements saying the new footage supported her description of the scene. At Maya's church that evening, no one surrounded her with questions. Mrs. Carter moved aside and made space on the pew. Denise sat on the other side. Daniel remained a few rows back, respecting the distance Maya had asked for. After the service, older members brought food to the fellowship hall. No speeches were made. They served baked chicken, macaroni, green beans, and cornbread, then talked about ordinary things until Maya's shoulders finally relaxed. For the first time since the ambush, she ate without checking the door. Daniel returned home before her. When Maya entered the nursery, she found him sitting on the floor with the crib instructions spread around him. One side had already been assembled. He looked up. "I can stop." Maya stood in the doorway. "No," she said. "Finish that side." Daniel nodded. She sat on the unopened mattress box and watched him work. After several minutes, he asked, "Have you chosen a name?" Maya rested one hand on her stomach. "Grace." Daniel repeated it quietly. For one night, the house felt less guarded. The feeling did not last. At 7 the next morning, Grant held another press conference. He announced that technical experts had found signs of manipulation in Thomas's video. A bank record appeared, showing a payment from Amanda's charitable foundation to an account connected to Karen. An audio clip followed in which Amanda seemed to offer Thomas money in exchange for cooperation. Then a signed statement attributed to Cole was released. It claimed Maya had acted aggressively before the first camera angle began, and that Mercer had used only necessary force. Amanda called Maya before the broadcast ended. "They built this overnight." Maya looked toward the half-finished crib. "No," she said. "They built it before we found the video." By 8 that morning, the story had changed again. The same stations that had called Thomas's footage conclusive were now questioning whether it had been altered. Split-screen broadcasts placed the video beside Grant's technical report, while commentators discussed missing frames, audio compression, and alleged inconsistencies in the timestamps. Amanda's phone rang without stopping. 2 sponsors suspended their contracts before breakfast. A third requested a private meeting and advised her not to mention Maya's case publicly. She rejected the meeting. Maya sat at the kitchen table and watched the damage spread across the television screen. The department released a financial record showing $25,000 transferred from Amanda's charitable foundation to an account registered to Karen Reed. Karen called in tears. "I have never seen that account," she said. "They put my name on it." Amanda asked for the bank information. Karen sent a photograph of the document shown during the press conference. The mailing address belonged to a commercial suite near Port Everglades. Daniel searched the address. Sentinel leased that office last year. Amanda looked at Maya. "There it is. Can we prove it?" Maya asked. "Not yet." The audio clip appeared online minutes later. Amanda's voice could be heard saying, "We can help with money if you give us the recording." The sentence sounded clear. It also sounded wrong. Amanda listened 3 times. "I never said that." Maya believed her, but belief no longer felt strong enough to stand against documents, recordings, and official statements. Elena arrived shortly before 10. She carried no briefcase. A letter from the Florida bar had temporarily restricted her from submitting evidence connected to Maya's case while the forged emails were investigated. Amanda met her at the door. "You knew this was coming." "I expected retaliation. I did not know the form. They have your name on messages telling Eric to change the video dates. I did not send them. Can you prove that?" Elena removed her coat. The headers were built from genuine emails. Whoever created them had access to communications between my office and the court. Daniel looked up from the laptop. "Police database access? Possibly. Or a compromised legal server." Maya placed the unsigned fingerprint report on the table. "Does this still matter?" It matters if we find Dr. Klein and establish when he wrote it. And if we don't? Elena did not answer. A formal notice arrived from Broward Harbor High School before noon. Maya was suspended again. This time, the district cited allegations of evidence tampering and unauthorized use of student information. Daniel received a similar call from Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue. He was removed from active duty until the financial investigation ended. He placed his fire department identification card on the kitchen counter. Maya saw how long his hand remained over it. Amanda's manager called next. 3 scheduled appearances had been canceled. A television network postponed a documentary project. The message was polite. No final decisions would be made until authorities clarified her role. Amanda ended the call and set the phone face down. Maya said, "You can step away." Amanda looked at her. "From what?" "From me." "No, they're taking your work. They're trying to make me choose what they already decided I should value." Maya wanted to argue, but another police cruiser moved slowly past the house. Her breath caught. The room seemed to contract around her. She stood too quickly and struck the chair with the back of her legs. Amanda moved forward. Maya raised one hand. "Don't touch me." Mrs. Carter entered from the hallway carrying a clean towel. She had been helping Daniel cover the broken window until the replacement glass arrived. She saw Maya's face and immediately lowered her voice. "Look at me." Maya tried. Both feet on the floor. "I can't breathe." "You are breathing. It just doesn't feel useful yet." Mrs. Carter guided her back into the chair without grabbing her. "Tell me 5 things you see." Maya shook her head. "Not important things. Any things." "The table." "Good." "Daniel's cup." "The blue folder." "Amanda's shoes." "The clock." 4 things you can touch." Maya placed her hand against the tabletop. "The wood." "My dress." "The chair." "My ring." Her breathing began to slow. Mrs. Carter handed her a notebook. "Now write down that the front door is locked." Maya wrote it. "Write down that the windows are covered." She did. "Next time your mind asks whether you checked, read the page before you check again." Maya looked at the older woman. "You've done this before." "My husband came home from Vietnam checking every sound after midnight. Back then, nobody called it trauma. They called it nerves and told him to get over it." Mrs. Carter folded the towel. "He never did. He learned how to live beside it." No one spoke for several seconds. Daniel broke the silence. "I'm going to the harbor address." Elena looked at him. "That is unwise. It's tied to the fake account. Victor Lane may be using it. Then give the address to federal investigators." "Which investigators? The ones who subpoenaed Amanda?" Elena's jaw tightened. Daniel collected his keys. Maya stood. "You are not disappearing again. I'll share my location. That didn't help last time." He looked at her. "Then Amanda can follow." Amanda picked up her keys. They left together. The commercial suite near Port Everglades appeared empty, but Victor Lane arrived an hour later in a Sentinel vehicle. Daniel and Amanda watched him enter through a rear door. Inside, through a partially open loading entrance, they saw rows of computer terminals. Several screens displayed police record systems. Amanda recorded from outside. Lane spoke with 2 men wearing Sentinel badges. One discussed downloading dispatch records. Another mentioned creating a clean access trail through Grant's administrative account. Daniel shifted to get a better angle. His shoe scraped the concrete. One of the men looked toward the door. Amanda pulled Daniel back before they were seen. They returned to the SUV and sent the recording to Elena. By the time she attempted to retrieve the commercial lease and banking records, both had disappeared from public databases. The address now showed an inactive mail forwarding company. "They are closing every door after we touch it," Daniel said. "No," Elena replied. "They are closing the doors they know we found." Amanda heard the distinction. "You have someone inside." Elena gathered her coat. "I have a meeting." "With whom?" She left without answering. Amanda followed her. Elena drove to a parking garage near the federal courthouse and met a man Amanda did not recognize. He wore a plain suit and carried a government security badge inside his coat. Amanda photographed them exchanging a sealed folder. From the angle, it looked like Elena was handing over evidence in return for protection. When Amanda called Maya, she did not describe the man as a possible investigator. She said only, "Elena is meeting someone from the federal courthouse." That afternoon, Maya was ordered to appear at the state attorney's office. Elena could not accompany her because of the temporary restriction. A court-appointed attorney sat beside her but had received the files only an hour earlier. Prosecutors showed Maya a new video. It appeared to capture Amanda near Broward Harbor High School on the day of the ambush. Amanda walked toward Maya's car, opened the rear door, and placed a gray object inside. The image was sharp. The timestamp matched. Even Amanda's clothes looked correct. Maya knew Amanda had been at the gym. She also knew what she was watching could not have happened. Still, her confidence faltered. "Is this real?" the attorney whispered. "No." "Are you certain?" Maya looked at the screen again. Mercer's people had learned her routines, her language, her husband's watch, and Amanda's movements. They were no longer changing only the official record. They were manufacturing memory. A contraction tightened across Maya's abdomen. She gripped the table. The prosecutor stopped the video. "Mrs. Williams?" Another contraction followed. Her attorney called for medical assistance. Doctors later ordered strict bed rest and warned that sustained stress was increasing the risk of premature labor. Daniel promised not to leave the house again. He kept that promise for less than 24 hours. The following evening, Maya woke from a short sleep and found his truck gone. His phone was off. At 9, a local station interrupted its regular broadcast with breaking news. A document carrying Daniel's signature showed that he had accepted immunity from prosecution in exchange for cooperation with the city. The reporter said Daniel Williams could not be reached for comment. Maya stared at the signature on the screen. It looked exactly like his. Maya called Daniel 6 times. Each call went directly to voicemail. Amanda stood beside the television, replaying the news report while Elena listened from the speakerphone. The immunity agreement carried Daniel's name, his employee number, and a signature that matched the one on their mortgage papers. "It could be forged," Amanda said. "It could also be real," Elena replied. Maya turned toward the phone. "You sound prepared for that possibility." "I am prepared for every possibility. That is not the same as believing me." Elena remained silent for a moment. "Do not make any decisions tonight." Maya laughed once, without humor. "Everyone else already has." A second alert appeared on Amanda's phone. A photograph showed Elena entering Deputy Chief Grant's office earlier that afternoon. The headline described her as a suspended attorney seeking a private agreement. Amanda held up the screen. "What were you doing there?" Elena did not answer immediately. "Elena," Maya said, "I cannot discuss it." Maya closed her eyes. Daniel was missing. His name was on an immunity agreement. Elena had met Grant again. Amanda was facing possible charges. Thomas had vanished. Cole could not be found. Every person who had promised to stand beside her now appeared compromised, threatened, or gone. The doorbell rang. Amanda checked the camera. A courier stood on the porch, holding a large envelope. The city's settlement agreement was inside. The offer covered Maya's medical expenses, restored her school position, and guaranteed continued insurance for the baby. It also included a confidential payment large enough to eliminate the mortgage and create a college fund. In return, Maya had to acknowledge that officers acted on credible information and agree never to discuss the detention publicly. A pen had been clipped to the front page. Amanda took it away from her. "Don't." Maya looked at the agreement. "Grace may need months of care. We will find another way." "With what money?" "I'll cover it." "And when they freeze your accounts?" Amanda said nothing. Maya turned to the speakerphone. "Elena, are you making a deal with Grant?" "No." "Then tell me why you were in his office." "I cannot." "Did Daniel take immunity?" "I do not know." "Do you know where he is?" Another pause. "No." Maya disconnected the call. Amanda moved closer. "You should lie down." "I have been lying down while they rewrite my life." Her breathing quickened. Amanda noticed first. "Maya, look at me. I'm fine." "You're not." Maya stood, but the room shifted beneath her. She gripped the edge of the table. Mercer's voice returned in her memory. "Stay down." The parking lot replaced the kitchen. She heard police radios, car doors, and witnesses shouting from behind the line. Her body reacted before she could separate memory from the room around her. Amanda caught the settlement papers as they slid from the table. "Maya, breathe slowly." "I can't." "Yes, you can." The pressure in Maya's abdomen tightened. She froze. Amanda saw the change in her face. What is it? Call the hospital. A stronger contraction followed. Maya bent forward, one hand on the table, the other over her stomach. Amanda dialed emergency services. By the time the ambulance arrived, Maya could no longer stand without assistance. Mrs. Carter met the paramedics at the door and handed them a list of Maya's medications, blood pressure readings, and recent symptoms. At Broward County Medical Center, nurses moved quickly. The contractions were regular. Maya's blood pressure had risen sharply. Her medical team believed the accumulated psychological stress had triggered premature labor. Dr. Price entered the examination room after reviewing the monitors. We need to prepare for delivery. Maya stared at him. It's too early. Yes. How early? Early enough that we do not wait if the baby is in distress. Amanda stood beside the bed. Maya turned toward the door. Daniel should be here. We're still trying to reach him. No. He should be here. Dr. Price spoke gently but firmly. Right now, I need you focused on yourself and the baby. The fetal heart rate changed. The room filled with movement. A nurse removed Maya's jewelry and placed it in a small plastic bag. Another explained the surgery consent forms. Maya signed. Where they pointed, Amanda followed the bed until staff stopped her at the operating room doors. Can I stay? The nurse shook her head. We'll update you. Maya reached toward Amanda before the doors closed. Amanda took her hand. Neither woman spoke. There was no useful sentence for that moment. Amanda waited in the hallway under bright hospital lights. She called Daniel again. Voicemail. She called Elena. This time, Elena answered immediately. Maya is in surgery. Elena's voice changed. Is the baby? We don't know. Where is Daniel? You tell me. I cannot. Amanda ended the call. Inside the operating room, Maya heard instructions, machines, and the controlled voices of people trying not to alarm her. She felt pressure but no pain. Then came a silence that lasted too long. Maya turned her head toward the medical team. Why isn't she crying? No one answered at first. A nurse moved between Maya and the warmer. Another adjusted equipment. Maya tried to lift herself. Please tell me. Then a small sound broke through the room. Weak, brief, but unmistakable. A baby's cry. Maya closed her eyes. Grace was alive. She was taken immediately to neonatal intensive care. Her lungs needed support, and doctors warned that the next several days would matter. Maya woke later in a recovery room with Amanda beside her. Where is she? In the NICU. Is she okay? She's fighting. Maya looked toward the empty chair near the bed. Daniel? Amanda shook her head. A nurse brought a tablet so Maya could see Grace through the incubator camera. She was smaller than Maya had imagined, surrounded by tubes and monitors. The sight emptied the last of Maya's anger. I want this over, she said. Amanda did not argue. The city renewed its settlement offer that evening. Elena's temporary suspension became public. Grant was appointed to supervise the department's investigation into Amanda and the allegedly fabricated evidence. Mercer returned to administrative duty. Maya asked for the settlement papers. Before Amanda could bring them in, a nurse named Caroline Webb entered the waiting area. A man left this for you, she said. She handed Amanda a small brass key. There was no envelope, no note, and no name. Only the number 314 stamped into the metal. Amanda turned it over in her hand. The logo belonged to the commuter rail station downtown. Amanda did not go to the station alone. By 7 the next morning, a federal public defender named Marcus Hale was waiting beside her near the commuter rail entrance. He was in his early 60s, wore a plain navy suit, and carried no briefcase. You understand that opening the locker could connect you to stolen police property, he said. I understand leaving it closed could destroy Maya's last chance. That is not the same thing. It is today. Marcus asked station security to document their arrival. A supervisor accompanied them to the locker area, while Amanda recorded the process on her phone. Locker 314 stood near the end of a narrow corridor. The brass key turned without resistance. Inside was a small canvas bag. Marcus photographed it before touching anything. He put on gloves, removed the bag, and opened it on a metal bench beneath a security camera. The contents were simple: a disposable phone, an encrypted hard drive, a printed duty roster from the day of Maya's detention, a backup police badge bearing Brent Cole's name, a folded sheet of paper with a date and time. Amanda recognized both. The date matched the final evidentiary hearing scheduled for the following week. There was no message, no explanation. Marcus powered on the phone. The battery was almost dead. It contained no contacts, calls, or messages. The hard drive would not open. A courthouse-approved cybersecurity specialist examined it later that morning. He found fragments of police server audit logs, but the files were locked behind an authentication sequence. The badge number may be part of it, he said, but not all of it. Can you break the encryption? Amanda asked. Possibly. Doing that without court authorization could make the data unusable. Marcus looked at her. We disclose it under seal. Amanda did not like the idea of handing the drive to a court that had already accepted forged evidence, but she agreed. At the hospital, Maya sat beside Grace's incubator when Amanda arrived. Grace's breathing had improved overnight. The machine still helped her, but the alarms sounded less often. Amanda placed the photographs from the locker on Maya's bedside table. Maya looked at Cole's badge. He sent this. We don't know. Could Mercer have sent it? Yes. To connect us to stolen evidence? Yes. Maya studied the printed hearing date. Then why tell us when to appear? We already knew. Amanda sat beside her. Maybe it isn't a reminder. Maybe it's a promise. Maya looked at her. Amanda corrected herself. Or a threat. The settlement agreement remained unsigned in a folder near the window. Maya had asked the city for another day. Elena called shortly after noon. Her temporary suspension had been narrowed by a judge, allowing her to appear at the final hearing if Maya formally requested her representation. Maya listened without reacting. I need to explain several things, Elena said. You had months. I did. Why now? Because protecting the investigation no longer protects anyone. Amanda activated the speaker. Elena began with Samuel Price. Grant's aide had contacted her before Maya's detention. He believed city money was being diverted through Sentinel Civic Solutions and that police databases were being used to intimidate employees who noticed missing equipment. Price had provided the school parking lot video. He said someone inside the department was trying to preserve records. Elena explained. He never gave me the officer's name. Cole, Amanda said. That is what I came to believe. Maya looked at the backup badge. Why didn't you tell me? Because Price disappeared 2 days after giving me the recording. I believed anyone connected to him was being watched. And your meetings with Grant? One was staged through federal investigators. Grant believed I was willing to settle Maya's case quietly if he protected my license and my clients. Amanda's voice hardened. You shook his hand. Yes. You let Maya see that photograph. I did not know a photographer was there. Maya spoke before Amanda could continue. You still chose not to explain. I did. Why? Because Grant had to believe I was isolated from you. Maya looked through the glass at Grace. The child's hand rested near her face, smaller than Maya's thumb. You treated me like evidence, Maya said. Elena did not defend herself. Yes. The admission changed the room more than an apology would have. Maya picked up the settlement folder. If I sign this, what happens? The city closes the civil dispute. The criminal allegations against you may continue. Amanda and I may still be charged. Daniel remains missing. Thomas remains missing. Mercer and Grant keep control of the official record. You make it sound simple. It is not simple. It is only final. Maya closed the folder. Will you represent me at the hearing? Yes. That does not mean I trust you. I understand. No more hidden meetings unless a judge orders them. Elena paused. Agreed. Amanda looked at Maya. Are you sure? No. It was the first answer that felt honest. That afternoon, Elena filed notice of the locker evidence under seal. The court ordered the hard drive secured and prohibited either side from accessing it without supervision. Mercer's attorneys responded within hours. They claimed the drive contained stolen law enforcement data created after the ambush. They asked the court to treat its possession as evidence that Amanda and Elena had been manufacturing the case. The special prosecutor submitted a separate request for Amanda's detention if the files proved altered. Elena read the motions at Maya's bedside. They were ready for the locker, Amanda said. Or they were ready for anything we found, Elena replied. A final hearing was scheduled for Friday. The court would decide whether Maya's evidence remained admissible and whether Amanda and Elena should face immediate criminal referral. Daniel's location was still unknown. No agency admitted holding him. Thomas's daughter had received no proof that her father was alive. Cole's union claimed he had resigned, but no resignation record existed. Every missing person had been converted into paperwork. On the morning of the hearing, Maya was discharged temporarily under medical supervision. She moved slowly and needed a wheelchair for the courthouse, but she refused to attend by video. Before leaving, she went to the neonatal unit. Grace lay beneath a light blanket, connected to fewer tubes than the week before. Maya placed her palm against the incubator glass. "I'll come back," she whispered. Amanda waited near the doorway. She did not ask Maya whether she was ready. Outside the hospital, 2 federal marshals stood beside an unmarked sedan. One checked Amanda's name against a document. "What is that?" she asked. "A notice." "For what?" He folded it before she could read the heading. "You should be aware that the court may issue a detention order before today's hearing ends." Amanda looked toward Maya. Maya had heard him. For a moment, no one moved. Then Grace shifted behind the glass and raised one small hand beneath the blanket. Maya turned toward the exit. "Let's go." The courtroom was already full when Maya arrived. Retired teachers, firefighters, church members, reporters, police union representatives, and former clients of Elena filled the benches. Several of Mercer's earlier complainants sat together near the back. No one called out to Maya. They simply stood as she entered, then sat again when the bailiff asked for order. Amanda walked beside her wheelchair. Elena followed with 2 legal boxes and a sealed copy of the Locker 314 drive. Across the aisle, Calvin Mercer sat in a dark suit. Wallace Grant remained in uniform, his deputy chief's badge fixed above his left pocket. Mercer looked directly at Maya. He did not smile. Grant did. The judge entered at 9. The first hour concerned authentication. Elena asked the court to examine the locker drive under seal. Mercer's attorney, Richard Sloan, objected before she finished. "The drive is stolen police property," Sloan said. "Its possession connects Miss Brooks and Miss Nunes to the fabrication campaign at the center of this case." Elena stood. "No evidence shows either woman created or altered the device." Sloan turned toward the judge. "We intend to provide that evidence today." The special prosecutor rose from the opposite table. Maya had believed he would challenge Mercer. Instead, he placed a thick folder before the court. "Our office received newly authenticated materials last night," he said. "Those materials raise serious concerns regarding witness tampering, digital forgery, and obstruction." Amanda leaned toward Elena. "He's with them." Elena kept her eyes forward. "Not necessarily." The prosecutor called a digital analyst employed by a state-approved contractor. The first exhibit was a video from outside Broward Harbor High School. Amanda appeared near Maya's CRV on the afternoon of the ambush. She wore black training pants and the gray jacket she had owned for years. The image showed her opening the rear passenger door and placing a gray object inside. Amanda whispered, "That never happened." Sloan heard her. "Miss Nunes will have an opportunity to explain herself after the arrest recommendation." The judge struck the desk with the side of his hand. "Counsel." Sloan apologized without sounding sorry. The next exhibits were emails carrying Elena's address and signature. In them, she appeared to instruct Eric Lawson to change the creation dates on Thomas Reed's footage. Elena examined each page. "They are assembled from genuine messages," she said. "The sentences have been altered." Sloan asked whether she denied sending communications to Lawson. "I deny sending these, but portions are yours. Fragments are mine. The instructions are not." The judge looked at the prosecutor. "Has the server source been verified?" "Yes, Your Honor." "By whom?" "The same contractor that examined the locker drive." Elena's expression changed slightly. The contractor had city ties. She requested time to investigate the conflict. The judge denied the request. The financial evidence came next. Bank records appeared to show $25,000 moving from Amanda's charitable foundation through 2 intermediary accounts and into an account tied to Karen Reed. Amanda's attorney stood. That account was created without Miss Reed's knowledge. Sloan replied. That explanation seems convenient. An audio recording followed. Amanda's voice filled the courtroom. We can help with money if you give us the recording. The sentence sounded complete. Amanda closed her eyes. Maya remembered the actual conversation. Amanda had offered legal help after Thomas described the threats against his family. The words had been rearranged. Elena challenged the recording's chain of custody. The court overruled her. Sloan then presented Daniel's phone location records. They placed him near Maya's vehicle 30 minutes before the ambush, and later near Sentinel's warehouse. Maya looked toward the courtroom doors. Daniel had not appeared. No federal agency had confirmed whether he was alive. The final document carried Brent Cole's signature. Sloan read it aloud. Cole claimed Maya had reached toward an officer, refused repeated commands, and caused Mercer to use reasonable force. He also stated that Amanda threatened the officers and that Elena later pressured him to change his report. Maya recognized the structure of the lie. It turned each victim into the author of what had happened to them. Where is Officer Cole? Elena asked. Sloan closed the affidavit. Unavailable. Unavailable because no one can locate him? The document was properly notarized by a notary employed by Sentinel Civic Solutions. Sloan smiled. Miss Brooks sees conspiracies everywhere because she requires them to survive this case. The judge warned both lawyers. A technical expert testified that Thomas's recording contained frame duplication and altered metadata. He said the files on the locker drive had been created months after the ambush. Elena requested access to the underlying audit data. The expert said it involved restricted law enforcement systems. Then you are asking the court to accept a conclusion we are forbidden to test, Elena said. The judge looked tired. I am asking both sides to stop treating this hearing as political theater. Maya gripped the arms of the wheelchair. The room felt warm. Amanda stood behind her, close enough to help but careful not to touch. Sloan began his closing argument. He described Maya as frightened and confused after a lawful detention. Amanda, he said, used fame and money to create public pressure. Elena saw an opportunity to revive her reputation through a civil rights spectacle. Daniel, burdened by unexplained funds, helped construct the digital trail. It was false. It was also orderly. Every fact had been placed beside another until the lie resembled a complete structure. The special prosecutor asked the court to dismiss Maya's evidence, refer her for possible false statements, detain Amanda for witness tampering, and refer Elena for obstruction and digital fraud. Court security moved toward Amanda. One officer carried handcuffs. Maya turned. No. The bailiff stepped closer. Mrs. Williams, remain seated. Amanda stood. Her attorney whispered, do not resist. I'm not. Elena surrendered her phone and placed both hands on the table. The judge began ruling. Thomas's video was excluded, pending further authentication. Dr. Klein's unsigned fingerprint analysis was excluded. The Locker 314 drive would be treated as suspected fabricated evidence. Maya's civil claims would be dismissed without prejudice. Amanda and Elena would be detained for questioning. Maya struggled to stand. Elena, stay seated. They're going to arrest you. Elena looked at her for the first time since the ruling began. Whatever happens next, do not speak without counsel. The judge reached for the gavel. Maya heard Mercer's voice from the parking lot again. I decide who leaves. I decide who stays. The judge raised his hand. The courtroom doors opened. A man stumbled inside between two federal agents. Brent Cole looked thinner than Maya remembered. His face was bruised. His clothes hung loosely from his body, and raw marks circled both wrists. Grant stood abruptly. One of the agents blocked the aisle. Cole gripped the back of the last bench to steady himself. Your Honor, he said, struggling for breath. That affidavit is not mine. Sloan objected. The judge did not lower the gavel. Identify yourself. Officer Brent Cole. Grant moved toward the side exit. A second agent stepped in front of him. Cole pointed toward the sealed hard drive. I can open it. The courtroom went silent. He gave the clerk a sequence of numbers tied to his badge and the police evidence server. The drive unlocked. Files appeared across the courtroom monitor. Server audit logs, deleted body camera segments, internal access records, a recording from the day after Maya's detention. Grant's voice came first. Remove the first 72 seconds, Mercer answered. Cole heard too much. Then make him part of it. Another file opened. The complete body camera footage showed Maya complying, Mercer pushing her, and Cole refusing to say she had reached for him. It also showed an officer carrying the gray envelope from an unmarked SUV before placing it beneath Maya's seat. Amanda's restraints remained unopened in the officer's hands. Elena looked at the judge. No further authentication question remains. Cole faced the bench. They held me at a Sentinel training site when I tried to contact federal investigators. Daniel Williams found me. They took him too. The judge lowered the gavel without striking it. Lock the courtroom doors. Federal agents moved toward Mercer and Grant. Mercer stepped back from the defense table. One federal agent moved behind him. Another approached Grant from the aisle. Grant lifted both hands slightly. There has been a mistake. The agent beside him removed the deputy chief's identification card from his jacket. You can explain that through counsel. This is my department. Not in this courtroom. Mercer turned toward Sloan. Do something. His attorney remained seated. The confidence had left his face. The judge looked at the federal agents. Do you have warrants? The lead agent handed 2 documents to the clerk. The courtroom stayed silent while the judge reviewed them. Maya watched Mercer glance toward the side exit. For the first time since the parking lot, he looked unsure of what would happen next. The judge returned the papers. Execute the warrants. An agent took Mercer by the arm. Mercer pulled away. Don't touch me. The words hung in the room. Maya remembered his hand between her shoulders. She remembered the pavement, the commands, and the way he had struck his own chest while declaring that he could arrest anyone he wanted. The agent turned Mercer around and secured his wrists. Grant began speaking rapidly. I cooperated with every inquiry. Those server records can be manipulated. Cole is compromised. Brooks had access to. A second pair of handcuffs closed around his wrists. Several people in the gallery drew sharp breaths. No one cheered. The sound of the metal was enough. Federal agents collected both men's phones, credentials, and department access cards. Grant's badge was removed from his uniform and placed inside an evidence bag. Mercer looked toward Maya as he was led past the first row. She did not lower her eyes. He appeared ready to speak, but the agent pushed him forward. Former complainants sat near the aisle. An older black man with a cane watched Mercer pass without moving. Beside him, a Latina woman held both hands around a folded tissue. Grant was escorted behind him. The courtroom doors opened only long enough to let the agents take them through. When the doors closed again, the judge turned to the clerk. All detention recommendations concerning Miss Nunes and Miss Brooks are vacated. The evidence exclusion rulings issued this morning are withdrawn pending a complete federal review. Amanda remained standing. The court officer slowly put away the unused restraints. Elena retrieved her phone and files. Maya looked toward Cole. He had lowered himself onto the back bench. A federal medic examined the marks around his wrists. Where is Daniel? Maya asked. Cole looked up. Alive. Her hands tightened around the arms of the wheelchair. Where? With the agents. He was taken to the hospital before they brought me here. And Thomas Reed. Cole glanced at the lead investigator. The agent answered. Mr. Reed was recovered from another Sentinel property early this morning. He is receiving medical care. Karen Reed covered her mouth and began crying. Cole faced Maya again. I signed the first report, he said. Mercer told me my career was over if I contradicted him. Grant said they would make me responsible for the operation. Maya said nothing. I kept telling myself I didn't push you. His voice weakened. I thought that meant I wasn't part of what happened. The judge ordered Cole's statement preserved for the criminal investigation. Federal agents then escorted him from the room, not in handcuffs, but under guard. Later that afternoon, Maya reached Daniel's hospital room. He had bruises along one side of his face and a bandage around his wrist. His father's watch sat on the bedside table, inside a clear evidence pouch. Maya stopped near the door. Daniel tried to sit up. I'm sorry. She shook her head. Not yet. He lowered himself back against the pillow. They copied the watch while it was at the repair shop, he said. Price found the receipt and realized Harbor Watch was owned through one of Sentinel's companies. Was Price helping Elena? Yes. He disappeared after he gave her the school footage. Is he alive? Daniel looked toward the federal agent outside the room. "They're still looking." Maya moved closer. "You let me think you sold me out. I thought I could finish the investigation before it reached you. It had already reached me." "I know." She sat beside him but did not take his hand. "We're not fixing this today." "I know that too." Grace remained in neonatal care for another 6 weeks. Daniel finished assembling the crib before she came home. Maya watched from the nursery doorway while he secured the last rail. Neither of them treated the task as forgiveness. It was simply something their daughter needed. The criminal cases against Mercer and Grant took more than a year. Cole pleaded guilty to filing a false report and failing to intervene. His cooperation reduced his sentence, but he permanently lost his badge. He later testified in 5 reopened cases involving Mercer. Thomas Reed returned to Fort Lauderdale under federal protection. The first morning he reopened Reed Medical Supply. The brass bell sounded as neighbors carried in replacement shelves, coffee, and boxes of donated equipment. He refused every television interview. "I already said what happened under oath," he told one reporter. "That is enough." Elena's professional restrictions were lifted. The false emails were traced to a Sentinel-controlled server, and the state bar cleared her. She met Maya in a quiet hospital cafeteria after Grace's final neonatal appointment. "I should have told you more," Elena said. "You decided the case mattered more than what secrecy was doing to me." "Yes." Maya stirred her coffee. "The law corrected the record." Elena waited. "It did not give me back the nights I believed my husband, my lawyer, and my own memory had betrayed me." "No," Elena said. "It cannot." The apology did not repair everything, but it began something. Mercer was convicted of violating Maya's civil rights under color of law, fabricating evidence, witness intimidation, obstruction, unlawful detention, and perjury. He received the highest sentence permitted for the offenses proven, including consecutive terms. Grant was convicted of conspiracy, kidnapping, money laundering, destruction of evidence, financial fraud, and obstruction of a federal investigation. His sentence was longer. Both men permanently lost their law enforcement certifications. Their accounts, investment properties, and interests tied to Sentinel Civic Solutions were frozen. Assets linked to the crimes were placed under court control to fund restitution and victim compensation. The city publicly cleared Maya's name, restored her employment, removed every false criminal reference from her record, and paid compensation without requiring her silence. Independent body camera storage became mandatory. Any deletion triggered outside review. Unmarked tactical operations required written authorization and independent logging. Detentions involving pregnant people received immediate medical oversight. Amanda returned to her gym. Her adult classes still taught balance, distance, and physical control, but they also covered safe witnessing, emergency calls, evidence preservation, and helping someone through a panic episode. 1 year later, Maya attended a civilian review hearing in downtown Fort Lauderdale. She sat beside Elena, helping former victims prepare to reopen cases that Grant had closed. Daniel waited in the hallway with Grace. Amanda arrived carrying 2 coffees and a bag of breakfast sandwiches. Grace took 3 uncertain steps toward Maya. Then she fell. All 3 adults moved at once and stopped themselves. Grace placed both palms on the carpet, pushed upright, and laughed. Far away, Mercer and Grant passed through a secured steel doorway in prison clothing. The lock engaged behind them. For months, the loudest sound in Maya's life had been the voice of authority telling her not to move. In the end, it was her daughter's laughter that taught her the world was moving again. This story reminds us that injustice often survives because good people are frightened into silence. Real courage is not always loud, and real strength is not always physical. Sometimes it means telling the truth when no one believes you, standing beside someone when the cost is high, and refusing to let power rewrite what really happened. Justice may arrive slowly, but every honest voice can help bring it closer. Thank you for staying with us until the very end of this story. Your time, attention, and support mean more than you know. We would also love to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the way this story was told? Was there a moment that stayed with you? Or anything you believe we could improve in our storytelling? And if you have a meaningful, emotional, or inspiring story of your own, please consider sharing it with our channel. Your experience may become the story that gives someone else hope, courage, or the strength to speak up. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.